Witch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you're watching another episode of Every Which Way. And this time it's with my friend Dawn Larzelier of blisscoach.com. And I'm just really pleased to get to present this special woman to you all today. I think that she offers such a unique, fun service as a bliss coach and a laughter yoga expert. I couldn't resist sharing her with you all. So here she is, Miss Bliss Coach Dawn Larzelier. Hi Dawn, welcome to Every Which Way.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know Dawn, she is Miss Bliss Coach on YouTube and what is your blog? Where's your blog? Is that a blog spot thing?
blisscoach.com.
Okay, cool. And first things first, what is laughing yoga, which is your specialty? Laughter yoga, right?
That is correct. Laughter yoga it's a form of pranayama or breath work. Okay. And basically what I tell people when they come to a laughter session is, first of all, you don't need any yoga experience because we really focus more on breath work than anything else. And the other thing is you don't need a sense of humor either because we use forced laughter in the exercises that we do. And what ends up happening is, have you ever been just think back when you were a kid and you heard somebody laughing and it made you giggle, and then all of a sudden everybody was laughing, and that's kind of what happens.
Yeah, and just feeling foolish probably in the moment too, like, oh, ha, 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 ha. You know? Just now it happened. I'm doing laughter yoga.
Well, the funny thing is, I was just at a festival this past weekend at the Goddess Fest here in Boise, where I did a special session of laughter yoga. And we had probably 25 people in the group following along, but it gathered such a huge crowd. I mean, they were watching us. And so the benefit just kind of bubbled, trickled around the crowd around us. It wasn't just us who were actively engaged in the process. Everybody that was there witnessing it also felt the effects of laughter yoga. And it was so fun and so amazing. It was,
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, that just shows that we are naturally happy creatures, or that we're just drawn to that. We want to laugh, we want to be happy, which is so much a part of your message. Let's see, I wrote this down. Certifiable joy junkie is what you call yourself on your website, and you literally have tagged yourself Miss Bliss Coach, which I think is so fun and interesting, especially because so many people today, we talk about polarity and how you have to have the dark with the light, but I just feel like that's misinterpreted sometimes. Can you maybe put your spin on that and why you call yourself a bliss coach?
Absolutely. Well, I think I would have to start with kind of my own story if I go there.
That'd be great.
Life has not always been this bright sunshine emotion, for me. I had a very difficult childhood. I had, those patterns that were imprinted, if you will, when I was a child, carried forward with me into my early adulthood, and relationships and, choices that I made, and just lots of different things. So for me, I went through a lot of struggle in my early life and in my early adulthood. And one day I just decided, something's not working, something's not right here, and I need to do something different. And of course, there's, more to what I'm saying than simply this. But what ended up happening actually was that I had lived in a state of denial of my own feelings for so long that it was time for me to just sit still and acknowledge those feelings, and I guess, in a way, kind of come clean with myself. And I eliminated a lot of things in my life. I mean, I'm talking beliefs, I'm talking people, situations, choices, all sorts of different things. And slowly, one by one, I started to reintegrate those things back into my life. And that would include, again, beliefs, people, choices, all those different things. And this time, though, I had a level of discernment attached to what I was reintegrating back into my life. And it all came down to, does it make me feel good? And so for me personally, I think that when you hear the phrase, follow your bliss, people tend to attach this pie in the sky, sunshine out your you-know-what kind of attitude. And it's not always about that. What it's about is making choices that allow you to live in that state of mind. And those choices are not always easy, and they're not always happy choices. Sometimes there are very difficult choices that you have to make. And it's called responsibility. I mean, that's one lens that you can look through,
Yeah.
But on the other, different lens would be, you have to look at things in a different way. You can't just expect everything to be blissful and joyful all the time, because it's not. There is a shadow to everything. You can't light a candle without casting a shadow. And that's life. That's how it is. So what do? You take a look at those shadows, and you figure out how they can work for you. And that's pretty much where my philosophy is coming from as a bliss coach. People that I work with, there's some issues. There are some pretty heavy issues. And it's not about denying those, because if you deny them, they, like Jung says, what you resist persists. And I guess in my case, my personal story is that is exactly what happened to me. I am living proof of that statement. And so I had to dig away at it, I guess, to make it go away.
Yes.
But it's not really gone away. It's integrated in a different way.
I 100% relate. I could have said that word for word and had it been true for myself. And I think that that's true of most people who are trying to teach other people, these law of attraction type ideas and the work of Carl Jung, because we used all of that to find our way to our own version of bliss. And then once you've done that for yourself, you see other people that are kind of suffering through the same things that you found so intolerable and miserable, and you're like, I think that I could help that person, So it's nice to share those stories. You made a video, which is actually what prompted me to want to interview you a ways back, called Positive Thinking Always Works. And you referred to Kurt Cobain, which was so shocking to me. Like, what does Miss Bliss Coach know about Kurt Cobain? Can you maybe revisit the ideas in that, like, briefly, and I'll link to it down below?
Okay. The reason why, well, first of all, I love Nirvana. I am an old school punk rocker at heart. Okay. My ex-husband, I know. My ex-husband was in a band, and we would tour and, have our children tag along with us. And it was a lot of fun. And anyhow, back in the day, we lived in Washington State during the grunge.
Oh, wow.
The rise of the grunge movement. It was between Boise, Idaho, and Washington. And anyhow, long story short, he was involved with a lot of different bands, and that's kind of where, that's where my love comes from for that genre. And anyway, the Kurt Cobain story to me is very interesting because I think that he was a brilliant soul. I think that he was very creative, and he wanted. He was quoted as saying that he wanted to be successful. But if you read interviews or anything else, like rock and roll magazines that talk about his story or his life with Courtney Love or whatever, that there was a kind of a guilt complex that he had for being successful. And I recognize that as a symptom of the subconscious mind sabotaging our best efforts. And I like to use that story because he's so iconic. And so many people know who he is and they're familiar with his story, but probably don't quite understand that it was his subconscious, it was self-sabotage that I believe led to his end.
I believe that too. I own his published journals, and it's just filled with his dreams and hopes for getting famous, and letters he would write to record labels telling him that he wanted to be a rock star and stuff like that. And so it is an interesting meeting of that guilt and his ambition coming together and ultimately resulting in the ultimate form of self-sabotage. Yeah. Unfortunately.
And well, the pattern itself is present in so many different lives. I recognize it in myself, even not as extreme, I would say, but little things that I might do that when I recognize it, I have to stop myself and say, whoa, where's that coming from? And actually it's this whole it is very much part of my practice is to get the subconscious and the conscious minds in alignment with one another. And there's so many different things that you can do to make that happen. But if you don't recognize that you are in a pattern of self-sabotage, nothing is going to work. So you have to be able to recognize it or come to an awareness of it first.
Step one.
Yeah.
Can you give us a step two, like an example of one of the things you could do? After you've recognized that it's self-sabotage?
I'm going to say meditation. Meditation is one of the best things you can do to get the subconscious and the conscious mind working together to help support you. You just went green.
I did? Oh. Well, I am witchy.
Okay, it's all good. Anyway, meditation, I believe, is one of the best things that you can do to help train your mind to get those two minds working together. I know it sounds, a lot of people in our busy culture, we just don't want to slow down and sit long enough to meditate, or we just don't know how to meditate. I think in Western culture, we're just so busy and we've crammed everything. We're afraid of open space. And I think that open space is where things come together. So meditation is that open space for the mind. If you have troubles meditating, there are so many resources out there that can help you. There's relaxation CDs. You can listen to, music. You can focus your mind on, a flickering candle flame or whatever. I use another service that I have is Light and Sound Machine, which is, it uses the technology of binaural beats, which is, certain rhythms, certain waves, music, or delta, alpha, theta, beta, all these different rhythms to entrain the brain and integrate the left and right hemispheres. And it takes anywhere between 8 minutes up to about an hour, depending on what your goal is. You listen to these, and you have these special goggles that you wear that flash specific light patterns. That what it does, working all together, helps the subconscious and conscious minds integrate. So that's another way that you can do that or help yourself meditate.
You call that mental massaging, right?
I do.
Nice. And do people come to your house for this? Where do you offer that service?
Actually, yes, and I do that in the local area. So I'm located in Boise, Idaho. So I can go about 50 miles. I haven't had to travel yet 50 miles away, so that's good. But anything beyond that, I kind of, can't, unless you want to pay my travel expenses, and then I'm all for it.
Hey, you never know. And let's break down the services you offer. You do coaching, and you can do that through Skype as well as in person. And then you do...
Yes.
And then the laughter yoga, that's something that you teach to groups.
Correct.
One of the things you also integrate into your coaching is chakra work.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a part of all of the coaching that you do, or is that just one of the tools you pick up depending on the person and the situation?
It is actually integrated in different ways. It's integrated into everything. So if you were my client, I would have you do an assessment form, and I have specific questions that I ask that relate to different areas of chakras. So I can kind of then zero in on what we think are your chakra issues. So
maybe we should define chakra in case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, which I doubt, but maybe.
Chakras are, in yogic philosophy, thousands of years of yogi philosophy, we know that chakras are energetic vortexes located throughout the entire body. You have meridians and ley lines across your body, which is how acupuncturists use, they manipulate that same energy when they're doing acupressure or acupuncture. Anyhow, throughout these meridians and ley lines are hundreds of chakras. And what they are is where the meridians cross, the energy comes together and concentrates at that area. And we happen to have the 7 main chakras are located along the spine, starting with the root chakra all the way up to the crown chakra. And of course, there are hundreds more, but my focus typically is on the 7 main chakras. And of these chakras, pretty much everything in life is associated to one or the other. Anything emotional, energetic, psychological, we can zero in on working with specific chakras and correct imbalances in that area of your life. So
yeah, I remember, for years and years, I was interested in chakras and I read about them, but a little part of me was like, this is baloney. And then I did get into some trouble and was really struggling and worked with a therapist who actually had me working with chakras. And it was magical. And there's a physical sensation to each of the chakras that you can tap into. So I'm a believer.
Okay. I think that was one of the things I remember talking with you about in an email exchange or a comment exchange about the heart chakra and how to focus, opening and closing it. And I just love that because I do typically tend to go to the heart chakra first.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's for different reasons, but the pattern has been that's the chakra that I've focused on as far as healing work goes. And so I just thought that was interesting that you brought that up in a comment, and yeah.
Yeah, so is there anything you want to tell us about what you have upcoming that we might be interested in? I urge everyone to go watch your YouTube channel because you have great little wise snippets that you post up pretty regularly that I think everyone in our little spiritual community would enjoy.
Well, I do have a couple of things in the works. I am, as you may or may not know, I am working towards my master's degree in psychology, and I have 2 more semesters left to go. And so just the time management around that has, that will get my sole dedication in the coming months. And in the meantime, I am working on a couple of different things for the business. I will be offering some online workshops and just various different things. So stay tuned.
Okay, we will. Miss Bliss Coach. I'm tripping over my tongue. Miss Bliss Coach.
Very good, very good. Yay!
Thank you so much, Dawn.
You are welcome.
Much
Thank
love.
you.
Peace.